Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Takeoff podcast with John Clark. And yeah, we are taking off to the World Series. This is presented by Live Casino Hotel Philadelphia. First time we've taken it on the road to a World Series. The Phillies are back in the World Series for the first time in 13 years, and we've got some special guests. We got to catch up in Houston with Rhys Hoskins, JT Realmuto, and Astros center fielder Chas McCormick. Yeah, he started 4 games in the ALCS for the Astros. He is from Westchester, PA, and he grew up a Phillies fan. And we also catch up with Phillies great Larry Andersen, of course, the radio analyst, and Todd Kalas, the son of Harry Kalas. He is the broadcaster for the Astros here. He was the broadcaster for the Tampa Bay Rays in 2008 when the Phillies won the World Series. It's amazing how everything is coming together. Please enjoy these conversations. We are here with Rhys Hoskins, and were there times when you were a little kid that you'd be out in the yard or on the field and you would picture moments like the World Series or say, I'm in the World Series?
Oh, yeah, of course. I think as soon as you can pick up a bat, kind of understand what's going on and the idea of winning a championship, you're picturing yourself, bases loaded, 2 outs, down 3, I have a chance to win the World Series. Every little kid goes through that scenario and hits a home run with the wiffle ball, right? So, kind of a cool full circle moment. Hopefully a big moment will come up and we'll kind of get to relive that like we did as kids.
Has this kind of been a blur? Has everything happened so fast in the playoffs to get to this point?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of it has to do with the intensity, right? And just how much fun we're having. Things obviously seem to go faster when you're having fun. We're winning games. Try to kind of soak every moment for what it is. But because of the multiple cities, the intensity can go pretty fast.
Dave Dombrowski said he was talking to some of the guys. I don't know if it was you, but he said the World Series, it's just completely different. You guys have seen a level. It keeps rising, but do you expect it to even be higher and higher here for the World Series?
It's kind of how it's gone throughout this playoff, starting with the wild card. The intensity just gets turned up a little bit each series. I don't see why it would be any different for the World Series. I mean, we're the only game on TV, right? So this is it's a big deal. It's fun. It's what it's supposed to be, and I think that intensity will also get dialed up just because of who we're playing.
Do you like the fact that people keep picking against the Phillies? It seems like the Astros are the team. You guys are the underdogs again.
We know the type of caliber of team that we can be in that clubhouse, and I think that's kind of all that matters for us.
Is there a moment, whether it's regular season or postseason, where you just really felt something special going on, the connection with the team, everything like that?
I think, if we can go back to June, we won 12, 13 in a row. Kind of the first time that we really got out a run, and I think it felt the way that everybody had envisioned it to be. And since then, I think we've been playing with a little bit more confidence as a group and also individually, and that kind of led us to where we are now.
Philadelphia was looking for this team to get over the hump in the other Septembers, and it just didn't happen. And when you guys were trying to clinch a playoff spot, Rob Thompson said maybe you guys are putting too much pressure on yourself or feeling that. But once you did clinch, was it kind of a little bit of a relief? Were you able to play a little more loose and kind of let everything out?
Oh, I think getting in was going to be the hard part. All of this, we're kind of icing on the cake, right, once we get into October. But yeah, of course, right? Like, we understand what's going on in the city, what's gone on historically with this organization in the last 10, 12 years. I have a little bit different perspective than some of the other guys on the team just because I've been here for almost half of that. Naturally, I think you try a little bit harder because you care about the city that you play for. But it was nice to see us kind of just let loose and be ourselves once we got in.
Rob Thompson says he cheers for you a little harder than some others because of all the things you've done for the city of Philadelphia and that you're a really good person. When you came to Philadelphia, when did you decide, I want to make this my home and I want to make an impact and actually change some people's lives in the city?
Well, I think you decide that before you get somewhere, right? I knew I had a chance to make Philadelphia my home because of what I was able to do in 2017 and 2018. And why not, right? I've heard so much about the city. There's obviously a plethora of history, U.S. history that's there that makes it a beautiful city. And then everybody talks about the way that they view and treat their sports teams, right? It's a passion like or any other thing that I've ever seen. Just living and dying with the success and not success, or the failures of the team is so much better and easier to grab onto as an athlete. My wife and I just said, why not? And it's a beautiful city, and we've learned that.
Can you imagine World Series games in the city of Philadelphia after what you've experienced in these other rounds?
Can't wait.
How much has Kyle Schwarber helped or increased the belief level, or a mental toughness, or just an understanding of what's to come or what's going on?
Yeah, I mean, just his experience and the success that he's had in Octobers and late in years speaks for itself. But he's able to share that with us, some of the guys that haven't necessarily gone through this type of thing. All of this type of thing, all the stuff that goes on off the field while in the postseason was nice to talk to him about and kind of get an idea, but also just, some of the feelings and thoughts that you're going to have out on the field once the game starts. Just to have a sounding board and experience to draw back on, I think has been pretty big for all of us.
And he brought the Dancing on My Own into the clubhouse. Is that, it's catching on all over the country now, not just Philly.
I mean, who doesn't like a good sing-along, right? Just guys being guys I think is what it is.
You know all the words?
How do you not? I've heard it. I heard it 87 times in the year, during the year, plus all the wins in the postseason. So, know the words. Can't wait to keep singing them.
Wait. How long ago did you bring it into the clubhouse?
I mean, I think it's been close to the start of the year, so at least 87. I'm going to say we played it more than one time every win, though.
Wow. Cool. Can you imagine, Bryce Harper at the beginning of the year talked about, let's have a party on Broad Street. Can you imagine the realization of a dream, and if that was to happen in the city of Philadelphia?
Well, it's been a long time coming for us just to be here. You can feel the city longing for that, wanting it, crying out for it. I'm just happy for the city, man. It's been really cool to see it painted red, right? I've seen it green. I've seen what they can do and rally behind the Sixers if they've gone deep in the playoffs. Everybody's got their Phillies cap on. Everybody's got their Phillies flags hanging out their window. And it's just a special sight to see. Seeing pictures of Broad Street being full gives me chills looking at it, but I can't even imagine what it will be like being there, if that's where we get.
Thanks for your time. Best question.
Thanks.
We are here with JT Realmuto, and it's a long time coming, not only to make the playoffs, but to get to a World Series. Can you remember being a little kid dreaming of a moment like this?
Absolutely. Just growing up, watching World Series games, playing baseball in the backyard, just having that moment where you're, 3-2, 2 outs, World Series Game 7. Everybody's done that as a kid, and to be here, to have that opportunity to live out that dream, it's incredible.
How do you think this team really collectively kind of flipped a switch when you got into the playoffs, and it seems like the big moments, you guys really stepped up in those big moments?
Yeah, I just think the group of guys we have a lot of really good baseball players, and even though we started off slow to begin the year, it doesn't change the type of character and the type of players we had in that clubhouse, and we knew that once things got rolling our direction, we started getting on a little bit of a roll, that we had the guys that could go on a deep run.
What about the leader that Kyle Schwarber has been for you guys, coming in with that postseason experience, won a World Series? What has he brought to that clubhouse?
Yeah, I mean, Schwarber's he's just one of the leaders on the team that, he's that glue guy that everybody can kind of gravitate towards. He's always having fun in the clubhouse, always talking to guys. But then when it comes game time, he knows he's been in the situations that we've all aspired to been in, and he's been successful in them. So just being able to pick his brain, talk to him about certain situations, he's been that guy for everyone.
When you come into this ballpark, and I believe they're going to have the roof closed because maybe the ball doesn't travel as far as well here, and they have pitching, they don't give up home runs. Do you change approach at all when you're facing that kind of staff where they really don't give up a lot of home runs?
I don't necessarily think you change approach, but I definitely think that we have to make a distinct effort to not overswing and not try to do too much, because with the power stuff that their entire pitching staff has, they strike a lot of guys out. They rely on a lot of chase because they have a lot of movement on their pitches. We're going to have to try to stay in the strike zone a little more than normal and really just put the ball in play. We've seen so far in this postseason that when this lineup puts the ball in play, good things happen and the homers will come.
Seems like you guys are underdogs again. You guys have been rolling through the playoffs as underdogs. Do you kind of like that now that maybe people aren't picking you to win this?
Honestly, it doesn't matter to us either way. At the end of the day, you got to play the series, you got to play the games, and every postseason series we've gone into this year, we've been the underdogs and we've won every series. So the underdog role doesn't really bother us too much.
What's the best advice or message you've gotten from somebody who's been in the World Series about what to expect and how to handle everything from the World Series?
Pretty much soak it in, like take a moment tomorrow to enjoy it, before the game. But once the game starts, it's baseball. It's the same thing we've been doing all year long, all postseason long. It'll be a little more nerves, a little more butterflies, maybe looking around the stadium a little more to take it all in. But as soon as pitch one is thrown, we're just trying to win a game that day.
Can you imagine Philadelphia for World Series games after what you saw from the previous series?
Yeah, it's an exciting thing to think about. The way they've turned out for us so far this postseason, and I've already heard the rumblings about how exciting it's going to be for those 3 games at home. Hopefully we can do well here in Houston and give them a show back in Philly.
All right, thanks for your time, man.
Thank you.
Chaz, we're from Philadelphia.
What's up? How you doing?
So tell us where you were when the Phillies won the World Series in 2008.
Oh, man. Where was I? I was definitely at my house watching the game and jumping around with my family. And it felt so long ago. but I just remember I could name that whole team. And just watching them 2008, 2009, 2010, just how good they were, how many good players they had. Seeing Red October in Citizens Bank Park, it's a special moment, and I can't wait to be able to see that in real life, on the field.
Pretty wild that you're facing all of that now. Your hometown team growing up.
Exactly. Facing them, I can't wait. Obviously, I hope I contribute, and I've never been more excited to play a baseball game. Obviously, it's World Series, but it means a little more since I'm going back home, and I have a lot of friends supporting me, and it's against my hometown team, and it's going to be a really fun series, and it's going to be a good one.
Now, do you have a lot of friends who are Phillies fans who are asking for tickets?
Of course.
So what are you doing with that? Do they have to wear Astros? Well, what are you going to allow?
I can't give out too many tickets. But yeah, I mean, if they're wearing Astros gear or if they're rooting for the Astros, then I might get them a ticket. But yeah, they have to come up with something cool for them to get a ticket.
Was there a Philadelphia Philly that you grew up wanting to be like, or you said, this is the guy that I'm going to mold my game after, or anything like that?
There's so many of them. Because I loved their pitching staff they had, and I loved the position players they had. But, you got to go with Jimmy Rollins. My nephew's out, actually going a little farther back. Nephew's named after Scotty Rowland. But yeah, Jimmy Rollins, just, watch him lead off, watch him hit balls in the gap, watching him run. There was just something special behind that when I was younger.
Did that team pretty much inspire you?
Yeah. Honestly, I think I would say that, yes, because I didn't understand the game at that point. I knew I loved playing sports when I was younger, so I was always playing baseball, basketball, football. But yeah, I always that's how I got into playoff baseball, just being able to watch the Phillies dominate. And it kept going, because then after the Phillies, after around 2011, that's when I really got into Texas Rangers and St. Louis Cardinals when they were battling for the World Series. Ever since that, I just started love watching postseason baseball.
Have your teammates at all asked you about what the environment's going to be like in Philly? What would you say?
I would say, they haven't asked me, but I would say it's going to be electric and it's going to be loud. It's a smaller stadium. but we're going to enjoy every second of it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you have that Philly mentality being from the Delaware Valley?
Yes, I have that Philly, that blue collar, gritty. I have it all. I have it all. It's in my blood.
When you prepare and you see Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler and you watch them pitch, what makes both of them so good?
They're experienced. Their fastballs are electric too. I mean, their fastballs can really get on you. It's kind of hard to pick up their arm action. And yeah, they're just experienced. They've been in the league for a while. They know how to pitch. They know how to pound the zone too. I mean, Nola, I saw something about Nola having a couple walks all season or something like that. I'm like, okay, the guy throws strikes. He knows. And then watching him pitch at the end of the year, he was just spotting up, and he knows how to pitch, and he pounds his zone. And yeah, Wheeler's electric, obviously. I mean, throws really hard. He's got a good curveball. So we just got to be ready to hit. I mean, those guys are going to attack us, and they're a really good team. So we just need to be ready.
You guys are the favorites.
Are we?
That's what America and Vegas say.
Yeah.
But Philly with the underdog spirit.
Exactly. They have that. When Philly is an underdog, they have a lot of momentum. But yeah, if I didn't even know we were the favorites, but it's a World Series, so it's 50-50. It's like anything can happen. It's baseball, which makes it fun. Even playing the Worlds, like it almost has to be in the postseason. You almost have to be lucky sometimes. You have to have the ball roll your way, because there's a lot of better teams that lost in the World Series. So yeah, it's going to be 50-50. I mean, it doesn't matter, just because the Phillies won 87 games and we won 100 whatever games. It doesn't matter at this point, because any team that comes ready to play and is ready more, that they're going to win. So yeah, we just got to be ready.
Growing up in Philly, do you remember your first impression or your first love for baseball, when you fell in love with the sport or picked it up?
Yeah, honestly, it had to be maybe travel ball in high school. I think I won a state championship my freshman year in high school with my brother Sean McCormick. But yeah, I think either winning a state championship my freshman year or just playing summer ball, kind of doing the outside experience, meeting new people, playing with new teammates, playing against different states. When I was doing that, I was like, this is fun. You enjoy it, and you kind of just go out and play. But yeah, probably around freshman year in high school.
Did you ever own a Phillies jersey when you were a kid, and what player was it if you did?
I did. It was Ryan Howard.
Yeah.
Ryan Howard.
Did you ever get to meet any of the Phillies when you were a kid, and what was that like if you did?
I did not. I don't think I did. I think I met Allen Iverson, but that was it. I don't think I've ever met any Phillies.
How amazing was that?
It was amazing. AI, the answer. I mean, I love basketball too, so it was really cool.
Who were your top athletes ever growing up in Philly?
Man. Sport? What sport? Or it doesn't matter what sport?
Doesn't matter what sport.
It doesn't matter what sport.
You can go Eagles if you want.
Yeah. I think of Donovan McNabb. Yeah. I don't know, just the guy behind the helm. He was always fun to watch. Him and Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah. Did you go to the Phillies parade?
No, I didn't.
No?
No, I didn't.
Did you want to?
Yeah, but I think I was a little younger. I think I just never made it out.
Yeah. How big of an Eagles fan are you?
I'm a huge Eagles fan. I bleed green. And they're doing so well this year, so it's so much fun.
So they're coming here to play the Texans the night before what? Game 6?
Yeah.
How amazing is that?
That is amazing. Thursday night football, I think.
Yeah.
I want to go, but I probably shouldn't. But
Did you go to the Eagles Super Bowl parade?
I did not, no. But I was out and about watching those games all the time. Never went to the parade, but I stayed in Westchester, and I was watching the whole game, watching the whole playoffs. That was special with Nick Foles carrying the Birds. It was special.
So have you thought of what it would be like being from the Philadelphia area if you actually won the World Series in the city of Philadelphia at Citizens Bank Park where you grew up?
That's exactly how I want it to pan out. Win the World Series, clinch it in Citizens Bank Park. But again, that's going to be really tough. It's going to be really tough. But I would love to.
Well, best wishes to you. We appreciate your time. We wish you the best, but of course, everybody in Philadelphia is rooting for the Phillies.
Yeah.
Over you.
Thank you.
Except for family.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. Go Astros. I appreciate it, though. Appreciate it.
All right, we are joined by L.A. Larry Andersen, of course, in the 93 World Series, and he is the great analyst on Phillies radio. So first, take me back to the moment. We saw your reaction when Bryce Harper hit that historic home run. When you look back on it, where would you rank that in Phillies postseason history?
Right in the top three. I mean, if not the top. It's just, it was euphoria, you know, and just exhilarating. The energy, the noise, the fans, and it's just I can't help myself. It's like you just want to jump up and scream, and it's just nothing like it. Nothing like it.
And I keep going back to, if they didn't have the DH now, Bryce would not be playing. He had the thumb issue. He said it was a grind. He only hit 3 home runs when he came back. And then also he is still dealing with the arm issue. So
Right.
How amazing is this, how he flipped the switch?
Incredible, because at the end of the season he wasn't swinging the bat that well, and it was, you could see the frustration in him. His body language was just wasn't there. You know, he'd get a hit or get on, and it was kind of like, you know, giving emotions to the players, but he knew he wasn't where he wanted to be or where he needed to be. And since then, once the playoffs started, it was like everything kicked in. And you know, K Long and others probably saying, you know, he's right there, he's close, he's getting there. But once he got there, like, unbelievable. It was night and day, really, compared to the end of the season to the playoffs. And he's like, boys, jump on my shoulder, here we go. Yeah. And it's been like that.
Yeah. You were there for Macho Row. Then you had the 2008 team, Ryan Howard, right. Chase Utley, all those guys. How about this group of Harper, Schwartz, and Rhys Hoskins?
I think one of the things that, like, the expectations were so high at the start of the year, and they got off to such a poor start, you know, first 2 months for what they were expecting, and I think for what they were expecting of themselves. But the one thing they always continue to do, and I think Schwarber was a big part of it, was continue to believe in themselves. I think Hoskins and Schwartz really made a big difference in that clubhouse, saying, hey, we're going through tough times. And we've heard it before, and they kept saying this is a different group. It's a different group. We're seeing now it is a different group, and it's one that has become beloved in the city, I think, and they're making their legacy right now.
Yeah, and they were underdogs in each of the first 3 series. Of course, they're big underdogs again. So, when you look at this series, what do you think the key is going to be for the Phillies pulling off an upset?
Just the continuation of Schwarber, Hoskins, and Harper. I think everybody's going to have to chip in. They're going to have to get the good pitching, everything. I mean, they're going against a team that I think is one of the best rounded teams in baseball right now. All the way around, defense, offense, everything, pitching, bullpen, and I think they're going to have to be on their A game for 7 games or however many games it takes. But like I was texting with my daughter this morning, she's coming in. Angie's coming in Monday for the game. Hopefully we get it in. And like I told her, she says, "What do you think, Dad?" And I was like, I don't know, but I said I would not bet against this team. And she goes, absolutely not. That's exactly right.
Yeah, you've been around some magic in your time.
Yeah.
Do you get the sense that magic is here with this Phillies team?
Yeah, I go back to the first game in St. Louis, the 9th inning, and it's like, wow, that's not supposed to happen, you know, and especially against that bullpen. And it did happen, and it was one of those things where you think, Maybe there's something there. Maybe there's something special. And it just continues throughout the playoffs to this point. And so hopefully that little special something happens again.
Well, when you look at this Astros pitching staff and their bullpen, my goodness, you know, Justin Verlander threw all the guys, and I saw the statistic that they have given up the fewest home runs per innings pitch or per game. So you have the ultimate pitching, not giving up home runs, especially in this ballpark. If it's closed, apparently that sucks down home runs, apparently, against the Phillies who are mashing the ball.
Yeah, but you know what? The Phils, the way they're hitting the ball, if they're connecting like they were in the first 2-3 series, nothing's going to keep them in the park. You know, they're barreling balls up, and if they do that, you know, get a quick couple of runs, and they can do it with the long ball. It'll speak volumes. And then obviously going back home in front of our fans, it takes this team to another level. It really does. And people, you say, well, the fans can't make that big. They do. Trust me, they make a big difference. And I think it affects the opposing team. I think we've seen that in the first 2 rounds here.
What do you think it was like back in 2008, and you compare it to '93 and the vibe at Citizens Bank Park now?
I don't know. It's funny. Chad Durbin texted Scott and I early in the first playoff games at Citizens Bank Park. It was like, wow, this is unbelievable. He said, was it this loud when we were winning? And it was like, I don't know. Like, you were down there. I don't know. But it seems very similar, almost maybe more, I think, partly because they expected that team to do what they did, and they did it throughout the year. This team had its ups and downs, and the expectations were up and down. It was very volatile. And I think that's drawing the fans in more for what they're doing in the playoffs. It's brought them closer. It really has.
Yeah. All right, so Astros have won 9 in a row. The last time they lost was Aaron Nola on this mound right here to get a spot in the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. That was huge.
Yeah.
So when you're able to have Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler 4 starts in a 7-game series, how big is that?
That's huge. It's absolutely huge. And I think one of the big things, too, is with going with Nola first, it shortens his time that he's been away from the mound, and it gives Wheeler an extra day. And I think those 2 factors make a big difference. And, I mean, obviously we'll see how that plays out in the first 2 games. But I think just to have both those guys now, Nola will be able to go again. Wheeler, I don't know what their situation is or what they're looking at, but to have those 2 guys healthy, strong, and going into the first 2 games, I'm excited. I really am.
And it's cool to be in this park because Aaron Nola had a perfect game going into the 7th here when they clinched a playoff spot. Give me an idea of what it's like for him going against these Astros hitters again. They saw him 3 weeks ago, but he also saw this Astros lineup.
Yeah, I think they're both going to do what they do. You know, Aaron's going to go out and pitch his game, and if he's got the same stuff as he had then, I expect the same results. I really do. The fact that they've seen him, it gives him a little advantage, I think, in that respect. But he's seen them again, like you said, so he knows what they're looking for. He's probably thinking, how can I improve on what I did in that game, that last start here? But if he just stays within himself, does what he's capable of doing, he can shut anybody down.
Do you think with the Astros pitching staff and the way they're able to keep the ball in the yard, do the Phillies change their approach at all? Because we've seen them play some small ball in these playoffs, and they've been good at it.
Yeah, I think with their pitching, and I think when you're facing a team like that, and with their pitching all the way around, that you have to think about small ball too. You can't just sit back and rely on the long ball. So I think if there's opportunities, obviously you don't want Harper bunting first and second, nobody out. But you know, there's certain situations where I think they can play small ball, and I think it'll be their advantage.
Was there a moment, LA, where you were watching this team and you just said, you know what? I actually think this team can go this far. Was there anything during the regular season, anything in the beginning of the playoffs where you're like, they have something special?
I think it's just the resiliency that they could lose 3 or 4 in a row and say we're all right. They can have their backs to the wall and come up with a big win. When they need to win, they could do it. I think the leadership of Schwarber again and Hoskins in that dugout in the clubhouse, I think that plays a big part of it. And I don't know if there was one specific thing, but I just the fact that they bounce back all the time when they're the underdogs, their backs are against the wall, they pull things out. And so I'm hopeful and believing that they'll pull this one out.
And I know you, just like Phillies fans, you get frustrated sometimes with the defensive plays, like Rhys Hoskins, Gene Segura. But my goodness, both those guys came up with their kind of Kim Batiste moment, where they completely rebounded. How impressive is that mental toughness?
That's huge. To not get down to, the other day Bohm struck out 3 times and then goes out and makes a terrific defensive play to get an out at second, almost a double play, falls down making the throw to second. Like, they're able to flush everything. If something happens, they're able to flush it and move on. And I think that's the biggest thing that they're able to do. Dominguez, after his last game in the rain, he's like, I pitched. I don't remember, like, it's done. It's out of his mind. You have to have that mentality, and these guys have it.
How about for you being around Philadelphia? Because you had the incredible team, the 93 Phillies, which will go down as one of the most popular teams.
Right.
But I love what Rob Thompson said. He said, the city has fallen in love with the Phillies again.
Yeah.
How amazing is it for you to see the love for the Phillies again?
I love it, because when I first came here in '83, the first time we went to the World Series, it was a Phillies town. It was. It slowly kind of molded into a Eagles town. And then '08 happened, and then, we know what happened after the five straight division wins, titles. Things have kind of been a lull the last 10 years, and it's really been an Eagles town. But now, with what we're doing, people are realizing that this is a Phillies team. This is a Phillies town. This is a Phillies championship we're going for. It's and not to take anything away from the Eagles, because go Eagles, I'm all for it. 6-0 and keep it going. But for right now, the way that the fans have taken to this Phillies team, it's a beautiful thing.
And how impressed are you? I get a sense that Bryce Harper really has matured. He's 30 now, came in as a 19-year-old hot shot. How have you seen his evolution over the years?
Just the fact that he's at a point where this is what he wanted to do. This is like, he has goals, and he fights to the end to reach those goals, and he's reaching one now with getting this team to the World Series, and that's what he wanted to do when he came here. And I think the commitment from John Middleton has been huge, as well as the other owners, to go out and put a team together that can do what they're doing this year. It's huge.
All right, can we get a prediction from you?
Yeah. Phil's.
How many games?
Don't even ask.
All right, that's enough. We got you, Phillies. All right, you're on the record.
Thank you.
L.A., thank you so much,
Thanks,
and good
John.
to see you back here in Houston. You've
Yep.
had some moments here.
Yes, I have. It's been a fun ride, and it's fun to come back.
Awesome, thank you.
You got it.
All right, we are joined by Todd Kalas, former Phillies broadcaster, of course, the legendary Harry Kalas, and then went to Tampa Bay. You were a broadcaster for the Rays. You happened to face the Phillies in the World Series, and now you're the Astros play-by-play man, and you're facing the Phillies again in the World Series. How does this happen?
It's crazy. I think Dad's looking down and watching this and smiling, because it's nuts. '08 was great. Dad's first time to call a final out of a World Series since he didn't get to an '80. So it was cool to be there with him for those 5 games. And now, obviously, we're not going to get to share this in person, but we'll be having our conversations through heaven, I think.
Yeah. How often do you think of your dad, especially when these moments come up?
A lot. And, going back to Philly especially, I'll always make it a point to try and go to the Laurel Hill Cemetery and see his grave whenever I'm in town. So I'll do that one of those days next week. But, yeah, when the Phillies play the Astros now, or when they played the Rays, or whenever it's Phillies related, that's the team I grew up with. That's the team where my brother and I spent summers in the bowels of Veterans Stadium hanging out. So, it'll always be in my blood. I'll always have the Phillies in my blood, so it'll be cool.
And when you were growing up in the Philly area, I mean, it was kind of a baseball town. Now it's an Eagles town, but it's becoming a baseball town again. Like, people are falling in love with the Phillies. When you see what the Phillies are doing, does that kind of warm your heart and say, I remember the good old days?
Yeah, I love it. I love to see how fired up people are for Red October. I mean, it's great. And the team has been phenomenal. It's been, they were here to end the regular season. And that whole road trip was kind of crazy. They got swept in Chicago. They won a couple games in D.C., and they came here and wrapped it up. But they weren't playing their best baseball going in the final week of the season. They made it work at the right time.
So in your research, and you're getting ready to call this, and now you're not, of course, the national broadcast, but you're here. What are you seeing from this Phillies group? Because it seems like they just flipped a switch when the playoffs came.
Yeah, they are hot right now. They're red hot. You're getting great at bats up and down the lineup, especially the guy right in the middle, Bryce Harper. He's having a phenomenal postseason. The 2 guys pitching here in Houston are as good a 1-2 as you're going to find, with Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler, so that's going to be a tough combination. Astros have their own tough combination of Verlander and Fromber. I think depth-wise, 1 through 13, the Astros are the better overall pitching staff. I think you can say that about a lot of teams. This is as deep a staff as I've seen in a long time. And so I think that's where the difference lies in a 7-game series. A little bit deeper staff and maybe some better defense could work in the Astros' favor.
Yeah, and I hear that they do like to have this closed, and it'll probably be closed during the World Series because I guess when it's open air, it's a little hotter or whatever. Maybe the balls fly further. So is it definitely an advantage in this ballpark with the Astros pitching? I think they gave up, the second fewest home runs per game all year?
That sounds about right. They don't give up many home runs, and it's crazy because it's a short porch and left. You would think in this stadium the Astros pitching would give up a lot of home runs into the Crawford boxes, but they don't. They keep the ball down. Framber Valdez, Lance McCullers, they're ground ball guys. Justin Verlander, who goes game 1, he'll give up his share of home runs, although he's been limiting them this year. So, yeah, I think the root roof closed. I just saw our owner down there on the field as we're talking. He's probably smiling ear to ear because he likes it when the roof's closed. It is very loud in here.
Yeah. You said Zach Wheeler, Aaron Nola. The fact that they're able to go 4 games total in a 7-game series, that's big for the Phillies, but they're still facing some of the best pitching in baseball this year.
Yeah, Verlander and Framber Valdez. Verlander's going to win the Cy Young. Framber will finish somewhere in the top 5. And then you've got Lance McCullers Jr. or Christian Javier. They're both guys that could be a 2 or a 1 on another staff. So they're very deep. They've got a very good bullpen, the best bullpen in baseball statistically. And so if you get a lead late, really for both sides, especially the Phillies late, the way they've been going with Sir Anthony and Alvarado combined with Eflin now out of the bullpen. So if whoever's leading out after 6 should be in pretty good shape to try and close it out.
Obviously, the Astros are the betting favorite, but we've seen 2 of the last 3 years. Last year, the Braves, they were the underdog against the Astros, I believe, and they won NL East. And then the Nationals, NL East 2019, did beat the Astros in the World Series. Could we be seeing a theme here? The underdogs from the NL East?
Yeah, the team that gets hot at the right time, right, from that division. And I see some similarities, maybe even more so with the Nationals from 19. Nationals were down most of their wild card game to the Brewers, then had that late rally and got into the next round and then kept winning. At Phillies, that first game, were down the whole game against St. Louis, rallied in the 9th inning, and that kind of jump-started them to the rest of their postseason run. So we'll see. Yeah, the Astros have lost 2 of the last 3 years to an NL East team that's been hot. They're hoping to stop that trend this year.
How about it's pretty wild? The Phillies season was supposed to start here in Houston, right? Until the schedule was changed, pushed back, and then it wound up ending here in Houston, regular season. Aaron Nola, that's the last time the Astros have actually lost, 9 straight wins. Pretty wild that the entire season is going to end here for the Philadelphia Phillies in Houston.
Yeah, it is crazy. Nola was outstanding that game 1. He shut down the Astros bats, and then obviously the next 2 games, they really didn't matter. The Phillies had wrapped it up.
They were partying, celebrating.
Yeah, they were having a good time. So Nola and Verlander tomorrow is going to be a great way to kick off what could be a very fun World Series.
Have you seen an Astros team this deep overall?
I think they were more top-heavy with both Verlander and Garrett Cole in 2019, finishing 1-2 in Cy Young. But I think depth-wise, their pitching staff 1 through 13 is the best I've ever seen. Their offense has probably been better in a couple of the years in the past, but I think this is the best pitching staff 1 through 13 I've ever seen.
And how about Bryce Harper, what he did to get the Phillies to the World Series? You have been there for some great Philadelphia moments. Is that up there with some great Philadelphia moments in the postseason?
Yeah, that's way up there, right? They avoided having to go to San Diego. That was huge. The crowd was frenzied in Philadelphia, and they have been really since this postseason run has started. Bryce has always had the spotlight on him ever since he was like a preteen in Vegas. Like, he's always been the stud of whatever age range he's been, and he seems to enjoy the spotlight. He's the guy that Josh Miller, the Astros pitching coach, will have circled for sure.
How about your dad? I was thinking of him in some of these Bryce Harper moments when he said, "Chase Utley, you are the man." What a great call. How much do you think Harry would have loved to have called something like of Bryce Harper?
Oh, he would have been out of his mind calling that home run. Yeah, he would have been going nuts, and he might have invoked the "You are the man" for Bryce. Who knows? Yeah,
because I mean, Bryce Harper is one of those like Harry Kalas type of players.
Yeah, loves the game, loves the city of Philadelphia, just like Dad. He's really embraced the culture in Philly and around the Phillies organization. I mean, I think he's the Fanatic's best friend. So yeah, it's all good. I don't know Bryce that well, but I know he's a great player and he's a great ambassador of Phillies baseball.
To wrap this up, this is amazing that you're once again the announcer for the team the Phillies are facing. So hopefully this happens more often, by the way. Yeah. But Philadelphia, in your heart, what does the city of Philly mean to you?
Yeah, it means everything. That's where I grew up. I was born here in Houston, and I left here when I was 5 years old and spent the rest of my formative years there all the way through college. And they'll always be home. It's where I grew up. It's my hometown. Even though I was born in Houston, I basically say I'm from Philadelphia because, that's all I remember as a kid. I barely remember being here in Houston. But here we are, full circle, Astros and the Phillies, and I was there in 08. I was so happy Dad won it in 08 because, as it turns out, it was the last year he was broadcasting. And there's guys who were in the Phillies organization still that I'd be happy for if they won it again in 2022. But I'd like to get another ring myself. So
Best wishes with you, not too much, but best wishes to you. And this is pretty cool to catch up with you again.
Yeah, great talking to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, mom, so flagrant.